Hey there, my name is Sam, and this is my review of Wool by Hugh Howey, a book I picked up the other day, and I really enjoyed it. I will be getting into spoilers, and also, I will say, if anybody's curious, I renamed my channel, which this is my second channel, from DPadGameplay to DPadExtra, because I'm going to be having more reviews and random stuff here, so this name makes sense. Also, I'm a little sick, getting over a cough. If I cough, I will try to cut it out. Okay, so the book, Wool. Gotta get into spoilers right now, so if you haven't seen or haven't read it, go read it. It's a great dystopian future series. A dystopian future series that has no main characters being children. That is always a thing for some reason, where children take the forefront, and it just leads to a very boring, repetitive perspective that ultimately is like a rebel against the machine kind of feel, and it's just uninspired. In this case, they're all adults. There's a lot of anger, love, heartbreak, passion. It sounds weird, I'll get into it, but if you haven't read it, read it. Also, my cat's being weird, you'll probably hear noises from her. So, on to the meat and potatoes of this thing. It's so good. Wow. From the very opening, I have it in front of me to try to jog my memory because I have no notes here. From the very beginning, we're introduced to Holston, a sheriff for Silo 18. The sheriff being the lawman. And Silo is basically a underground bunker that goes down for, I think, 140-ish layers. And basically, it sets the scene of sorry, I'm just trying to remember. It sets the scene of Holston finally saying what we learn is very solemn, very taboo words, which is, "I want to go outside." And this definitely caught my attention, because it's so weird. Because you don't immediately understand that he's actually underground or that this is a silo, but as it goes on, you learn that in this world, in this underground world, they're locked out from the outside. To go outside is to die, and they have a tradition of cleaning. So anytime a dissenter, anytime someone who is unfit for the silo as a whole, sort of pops up, or they say the words, "I want to go outside," any notion of that at all, they get strapped into a suit and shoved through an airlock, and they go out into a toxic land and die. And I thought that was really interesting, because the cleaning is not treated as a punishment, it's treated as a holiday, because people from lower levels that almost never go to the top will go to the top to look through the large wall-sized monitors to look onto the outside, because the idea is that every time someone is sent out, they clean the cameras on the outside, which means it's finally like clear to see again, because I guess like the toxic smudge in the air, or smog, I guess, in the air fogs up the cameras. Lucy, get down. Oh my god. Okay. That's supposed to be a laugh. Very interesting concept with the cleaning, and very early on we actually get to see it from first person through Holston's perspective as he goes out, and he suddenly sees, instead of a wasteland that he had always thought there was, he sees a green, lush, vivid, perfect day of like blue skies, green rolling hill. And he goes up and to be near his wife, the whole reason he's out there, who had chosen to go out 3 years earlier. And then he takes off his helmet, succumbs to the toxic air, which was actually there, and dies because what he was seeing was all a fabrication on a sort of VR setup inside of his helmet. So immediately, it's like we got an interesting concept with this underground world. There's obviously some mystery going on, because why the hell are they lying to the cleaners? And that sort of tech that betrays what's actually going on is like, that veil hiding what is real, I think it spreads to the rest of the story because there's a lot of aspects of this world that are shrouded in mystery. And Hugh Howey does a great job of building the world as it goes. So I am now I'm 100 pages into book 2, which I'll get into that in my next video because I'm going to be doing these back to back. So it'll be a trilogy of videos. Shouldn't take too long this time because I'm not going to be sick. But it basically creates this world that's quite interesting. And we go through a lot of characters, actually. So we go through Holston. I think we get a little bit of Alice. And then we jump to the current mayor, Johns, and then her deputy, who doesn't want to be the sheriff, Marnes. I want to say Barnes all the time, but it's an M. And they go through this long trek down to meet a potential sheriff named Jules. And Jules is basically Wool's main character. I don't know if she'll appear in later books, but for Wool, she is the main character throughout the most of it. But it's interesting that we don't actually get from her perspective until like maybe 150 pages in, I think. But it works well because we slowly build out her character. We get to know what kind of person she is. She's this 34-year-old sort of rebellious. Not rebellious. She's the kind of girl that gets stuff done, who doesn't let the men sort of hold her back, which sounds like it's some sort of woman empowerment thing, but it's done really well and not in a pandering way, if that makes sense. And the fact that she is a woman is rarely brought up, unless it's relevant, if that makes sense. I feel like sometimes characters are sort of given one aspect and that's all it is. I'm not making a lot of sense, but the point is, the characters in this book have a lot of depth to them, and I think that Hugh Howey put a lot of thought into each character to make them real. So every time there was a death, and there was a lot of deaths in this series, or in this, at least in this book so far, but probably in the series, every time there's a death, I feel it. Every time there is a revelation, it feels legitimate, and by the end, I was just like, I had my, or not at the end, because at the end it started to wrap up and be good, but partway through there was certain sort of key moments where it all came to a head, and those where I was like just holding my head in my hands like, oh my god, I can't believe that just happened. To sort of explain a little more, as we go through the story, there is a rebellion. Jules is thrown at the airlock, but thanks to a friend of hers from Mechanical who works with Supply, they managed to trick IT, which is essentially the main suit making / technology hub of the silo, and also they're the main ones shrouding everything in mystery and actually performing the cleanings. Trick him into outfitting Jules with a suit that actually works, and she makes her way into a second silo, and that's when we learn at that point it was actually also a very great thing in terms of like the book's sort of craft itself, in that at that point all the chapters had either silo 18 or silo 17. So we got, there's that many silos, and then through another character, Lucas, who is slowly going to be the new head of IT, we learn more about the background of the silos, in that they were created as part of this project called the World Order, and there's 50 silos, and the heads of IT shroud what happened in the past, the legacy, and mystery, and only they can know it. And it's so, it creates this really great ominous feel, because there's this moment, and it was beautiful in terms of how it was crafted, but Lucas has been inside this little mini bunker in the bunker, down in the depths of IT, for weeks after the rebellion. Mechanical, all the characters we grew to love are all dead at this point, and he has been talking with Jules through the phone line into Silo 17, which the head of IT, Bernard, doesn't know. And Lucas finally has had enough. He wants out of this sort of almost prison cell. It's not really a prison cell because it has a bunch of nice books and he gets nice food, but he's basically being coddled because he's going to be the new head of IT. And he lets on that he is, or that he has something against Bernard because he inquires about a death that Bernard caused, but he doesn't quite know for sure. And Bernard tricks him into saying, I want to go out, let me out, over the walkie-talkie, and then the sheriff hears it. But the way it's written, I was just like, no, it starts to dawn on you throughout the whole conversation. You're like, no, not like this. And it felt like he was literally about to die. And I don't think I've ever been more afraid for a character in my life. The book is so good. I blasted through this thing in only a couple days. Like I said, I would have had to review up much faster if my voice was actually able to sustain. I could not have done this much talking, let alone like 2 minutes talking on Wednesday. But with the other one, I might honestly finish it tonight because I'm already 100 pages in and it's feeling good. This one ends in a promising note. With essentially the promise of change, and I think that's good. But the story doesn't end here. The story continues in the second book, which we'll talk about in the next review. But essentially, it talks more about the past and also expands upon the whole Silos as a thing. I don't know if Jules and all those characters will reappear, but I think that might come to a head in the third book. I love what Hugh Howey has going here. I think it was a really, 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 one more time, really great book. Probably like a 9 out of 10. I don't know if it's like a 10 out of 10. I feel like, I'm trying to think, was there any downsides? I really don't know. This is honestly such a good book. I'm glad I read this after the last one, because the last one was it was garbage. This one, it was so nice to actually have a good book. It read really easily, but there was some complex scenarios. I don't know how to describe it without a good example, but yeah, it was good. Probably 9 out of 10. I will be I'll be finishing up the next one as soon as I can and get a review of that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end it there. Without spoiling the end, I can't really say too much else, other than I like the character he crafted so much that if she doesn't reappear in future books, I will be disappointed. Just in general, I think I want to also say I like the fact that someone made a dystopian future series where the main characters aren't kids. The main idea isn't we have to rebel against the machine, because there is a rebellion, but it's not like that. It's a generation of basically put down workers fighting. It's basically like the French Revolution, I think. Like fighting against the established order, which sounds similar, but I swear it's different. It's hard to really describe. But I was really worried because on the inside cover, or not inside cover, but because this is a paperback, it's like the inside first sheet. It's a bunch of reviews, and one of them says, where is it? Oh, here we go. A future underground sensation, wool is likely to be spoken about in the same breath as the Hunger Games and the passage. What? Oh my god, that was so stupid. I started coughing. That's from The Independent on Sunday from UK. Are you serious? How is this? I hate to say it. How do you dare tarnish this book by comparing it to the Hunger Games? The Hunger Games, I'll admit, is decent, but the main character is so... Okay, that's a whole nother video. The point is, the Hunger Games isn't that good as a book, as a series. Fight me on it. Don't, but actually do. I'm serious here. It's just crazy, the fact that someone would say that. Yeah, it's frightening. Like as one review says, it's enthralling. It's creative, it's mysterious, and it's scary. There was actually... I wasn't afraid that this book would hurt me, but the point is, it invokes actual fear. Fear for these characters that you've grown to appreciate, not just enjoy or love. I appreciate their existence, I believe it, and if you can really get invested in something, that's how... It's almost like the Game of Thrones approach. If you can get invested in something, then you can get it ripped away. And Hugh Howey understands that. Great book. Fantastic time. 9 out of 10. I should stop this video because it's rambling at this point. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.